So video 3 for the neck pain workshop, looking at Franklin method, Feldenkrais method, Pilates method. I'll try and separate the three methodologies so that if you find that one suits you better than the other, then you could just fast forward to that and just do that section so that it saves time for you. So we're going to start with Feldenkrais, and we looked at in workshop 2, we looked at the influence of trapezius into the neck. So this one's a nice one because it just stretches and relaxes trapezius through movement and just helps to already start to bring the neck into more balance. So we're just going to fold the arms, we're going to hold the elbows, we're going to do a little gentle twist. So as you do this, you're keeping your elbows quite close to your body, you're keeping your pelvis still, you don't want your pelvis swinging. So a good way to do that is to either sit down or to bend your knees a little bit and just do this twist so that you're getting a good isolation. And you're dissociating the rib cage from the pelvis. So you're keeping your pelvis nice and still. And as you move your rib cage, you can feel the lower trapezius getting quite a stretch. So you could do this 3 times, you could do it, up to 20 times, so you're going to get a nice movement. I like to do it for about 20. So then stop for a minute and then bring the elbows into level with the heart. And you're twisting again. So when you do it in this range, you're really getting to, between the shoulder blades, you're getting to your middle trapezius. Keep the hips and the pelvis nice and still. Keep the knees bent, just to get good control. So about 20. And then the final one is to bring your forearms up and put your forehead against your arms, so you're not using your neck too much. Keep your knees bent, nice and gentle. So you can feel this one in your upper trapezius and your lower. Actually, I can feel it in my lower, but also into the upper because the arms are raised. So the arm connection is through the myofascial trains. So about 20. So already by stretching the muscles in the trapezius group, you've already started to bring a little bit of relaxation into the shoulder girdle. Just roll the shoulders and just move the neck. The second one for Feldenkrais is to think about your breastbone. You're going to find the top of your breastbone. You're going to come down and you're going to find the bottom of your breastbone. And you're going to think of your breastbone, if I hold my hand up, like a vertical seesaw. So it's pivoting forward and back, or you could even look at my forearm and think of this as the bottom of the breastbone and this is the top of the breastbone. So you're going to soften your knees, put your hand on the bottom of the breastbone and the top. You could do this one sitting down. And you're just going to, if I turn sideways, you're going to drop the bottom edge of your breastbone inwards and let your head tilt forward and then come back into your center position. So just do that a couple of times, dropping the bottom edge of your breastbone inwards and then come back into that vertical position. Dropping. So you're getting quite a stretch between your shoulder blades as you do this. Chin is always slightly tucked. You don't want to be too active in the vertebra of your neck. The more I do this, the more I'm noticing the mid-thoracic region stretching. So now we're working on trapezius, but we're also going even deeper into serratus and the fascia there, the myofascia there, thoracolumbar fascia. Last one, so it was about 10. So now think about the top of the breastbone. Keep your chin slightly tucked, slightly retracted. And now you're going to draw the top of the breastbone backwards and let the bottom of the breastbone swing forward. So think of your breastbone a little bit like a seesaw. So the bottom of the breastbone moves forward and the top moves backwards. Keep the chin slightly tucked. So you're really mobilizing your upper spine, your rib cage. So no movement in the neck, that's not going to help the neck to be moving the neck around. We're working through the thoracic spine. You're starting to feel a little bit more into the lower trapezius and the lower thoracic spine. You do about 10. Work within comfort. So with Feldenkrais, it's low effort, it's repetition. There's no striving. You're not using effort. You're just gently mobilizing your body. One more. It's about 10. So now do them both together. You're going to tilt the seesaw forward at the top of the breastbone and then at the bottom of the breastbone swing back. And then you're going to go the other way and you're going to take the top of the breastbone backwards and the bottom of the breastbone forward. So you're gently rocking and you're looking inwards, gently rocking and looking upwards. So when you're looking up, the chin is still slightly retracted. So you're really starting to notice now that there's a lot of movement through the thoracic spine. So when you think about it, we're quite mobile in the neck and the lumbar spine, but not so much in the thoracic spine. So top of the sternum forward, top of the sternum back, bottom of the sternum backwards, bottom of the sternum forward. So think of your seesaw, you're pivoting through the breastbone, so keep the focus in the breastbone and you'll have a better quality of movement. You don't want it to be coming from the head and the neck. So if you have got neck pain, it's quite likely that you're a neck dominant person. You're moving your head too much, it's just part of your makeup and you're fatiguing those muscles by overworking the neck and improper movement of the neck. So just stop for a minute and just roll the shoulders and just get a feeling of opening and expansion through the rib cage. Just move your neck. So when you've got an issue, wherever it is in the body, you're looking above and you're looking below. You're not just looking, the body's not just one place, one muscle, one vertebra. It's one whole entity. So we have to look at the whole. So the final one, we're going to come to the floor. So we're coming down into lying on our backs, on our sides, sorry. We're going to have a pillow for the neck. And we're going to stack our hips, stack our knees, stack our ankles. And we're going to just put the top hand on the top of the bottom arm. So the top arm is nice and relaxed at the moment. Our chin is slightly retracted, but not over retracted. And you're just gently going to look at the ceiling. So you're just moving the bones of your neck and you're looking forward. Nose to ceiling. Looking forward. So you're going to do this about for 2 minutes in each of these different modes. So I'm not counting. You could, if you wanted to, you could think of a number, but take all effort out of it, all striving. You're just gently and slowly moving the neck. We're assessing the quality of the movement in the neck. Does it feel tight? Does it feel stuck? Is it painful? Do you feel you're fairly limited as you get the nose towards the ceiling? Looking forward. So gentle, so slow it down, take away striving, take away effort. So if you're striving, if you're really putting a lot of effort into this, you're just putting tension into the muscles, which is the complete opposite of what we're trying to do. If you're doing it gently, just using the movement to stretch the muscles, to contract the muscles slightly, to get the blood moving through the muscles, get the lymph flowing through the muscles, just to free them up. So 2 minutes is quite a long time. I can't see my clock from here, so I'm just going to be guessing my 2 minutes. But once you do this yourself, you could, you could have a watch next to you or something. You could be holding a watch or your iPhone and just looking at the phone, just keeping an eye on the time. Just stop for a minute and just assess. So the next one, you're going to put your hand on your shoulder. So the hand's just there just to help the brain to connect to that part of the body. And you're going to draw back at the shoulder and look at the ceiling. So you're keeping it very local to the shoulder. You don't want too much movement in the rib cage. It's just the shoulder rolls back to accommodate the head looking up. Low effort, no striving. Nice and slow. Just assess the quality of the movement. Assess your breathing. So you're moving into it slowly. Coming out of it slowly. You don't want these muscles overactive. They're just following the roll of the shoulder, the roll of the neck. The breath, focus the breath, nice and deep, nice and relaxed. Nose breathing is going to bring you into connection with your parasympathetic nervous system. So if you can breathe in through the nose, out through the mouth, the nose is good. If not, you could breathe in through the nose, out through the mouth. But if you can do them both through the nose, that's good. So that's about 2 minutes, and just stop for a minute and just assess. So now you're going to put the hand on the rib cage. So you're going to roll back through the rib cage, back through the shoulder, look at the ceiling. So you assess now, you're assessing how does it feel different, how much more movement is there. So you're starting to notice connections through the body. So I can feel my obliques, my waist muscles, my abs, and also feel my spine is getting more involved in this now. Try to breathe into the hand. So keep the breath all part of the movement. So breathing is our most fundamental, foundational movement. But we forget about it because it's, it's all day, every day. But it's very, very strong movement. So the rib cage starts first. So you roll through the rib cage, then the shoulder, then the neck. And then you come back through the neck, through the shoulder, through the rib cage. So rib cage, shoulder, neck. Breathe into the hand. The breath can really radically increase the range. You're breathing in as you look up. You're breathing out as you look forward. You're breathing in as you look up. Forward. Rib cage, shoulder, neck. Again, rib cage, shoulder, neck. You could stop for a minute. You could add another element of the breastbone. So you could roll through the rib cage, through the shoulder, through the breastbone and the neck. So that's a little bit stronger. You're really getting quite specific now. So the rib cage, the shoulder, the breastbone, the neck. Come back through the neck, through the breastbone, through the shoulder, through the ribs. So rib cage, shoulder, breastbone, neck. Neck comes back, breastbone follows, shoulder follows, rib cage follows. So now I'm starting to feel it into my low back and right into my side body. Breathing into the hand, remember, on the ribs. Come back through the neck, through the breastbone, through the shoulder, through the rib cage. So again, rib cage, breathe into the ribs, shoulder,
breastbone, neck. Maybe assess your range. I'm starting to go a lot further now as my body opens up. Rib cage, breathe into the hand, shoulder, breastbone, neck. And come back in. So just relax for a second, just assess. So now take the hand to the hip, the top hip. So think about rolling back through the pelvis. Breathe into the rib cage as the rib cage rolls, the shoulder, the breastbone, the neck. And then reverse that. Bring the neck back, the breastbone, the shoulder, the rib cage, the pelvis. So start with the shoulder, with the pelvis. Breathe into the rib cage, then the shoulder, then the breastbone, then the neck. Come back through the neck, through the breastbone, through the shoulder, through the rib cage, through the pelvis. So again, roll through the pelvis, breathe into the rib cage, take the shoulder, the breastbone, the neck. Breathing out as the neck comes back, the breastbone, the shoulder, the rib cage, the pelvis. So you're breathing in as you draw back through the pelvis, through the rib cage, through the shoulder, through the breastbone, through the neck. Come back through the neck, through the breastbone, through the shoulder, through the rib cage, through the pelvis. One more time. So pelvis. So you do this for about 2 minutes for each one. Breathe into the rib cage. Let the shoulder follow, let the breastbone follow, the neck. And then bring the neck forward, the breastbone, the shoulder, the rib cage, and the pelvis. So just turn onto your back for a minute. Just move your neck. And then you would, at this point, you would stop the video. You would repeat everything to the other side. So you would take your pillow up and you would take your pillow to the other end and you would repeat to the other side. So this is the second part of the third video, focusing on Franklin method. And one of the things that Eric Franklin says quite rightly is the quickest change that you can make to your body is through self-talk. So through the way we talk to ourselves in our thoughts, we're going to affect, the brain, neuroplasticity. The hypothalamus in the back of the brain is talking to our body. And so self-talk is really important. So we use imagery, we use words, we use techniques all together, but really using positive self-talk. So you're thinking things like stretching, lengthening, relaxing, releasing, rather than negative things like pain, stiffness, stuckness, discomfort. So as you use these positive words, you'll start to find that the movement actually becomes easier. So one way to sort of demonstrate that would be if you were to float your arm up and say heavy, stuck, stiff, uncomfortable, and then bring it down. You just notice that the quality of the movement is not free. But then if you float that same arm up and you think feather, light, flowing, graceful, floating, you can feel that the movement seems easier. Same thing if you do it with the other side, heavy, stuck, stiff, painful, feels heavy, feels difficult. Come back down and then think light, floating, feather, lengthening, releasing. You can just feel that the movement is much, much better. So try and use this sort of imagery as you're going along and just see, for your neck, that you're thinking of positive words that are reinforcing the movements that you're making. So one of the things that Eric Franklin does in his Franklin method is sponging, which is one of my favorite things. So you're going to get your two hands and you're going to put them together. And you're going to imagine those big yellow sponges that we clean our cars with. You're going to imagine that your hands held together
at the back of your neck are like that big calf sponge. And you're going to just think for a moment, one of your hands is going to be touching your neck. So for me, it's my left hand. And I want you to use your 4 finger pads on your fingers to squeeze into the neck. And I want you to use your top hand to apply pressure to those 4 fingers. So if it's your left hand that's underneath, your 4 fingers are going to be pressing on the right side in those capitis muscles at the back of the neck. So you're going to squeeze the sponge and imagine the water being squeezed out the sponge. You can feel those 4 finger pads massaging into the neck. And then you release the sponge and you imagine that the sponge is filling up with water again. So you're going to squeeze the sponge and then allow the sponge to refill. So squeezing the sponge and releasing, so you feel the pressure of those 4 fingers underneath. You don't need to take your hands away. I'm just doing that just to remind you visually that you are letting go in between. Now you can make this even more effective by, as you squeeze the sponge, pulling your neck upwards. So you grow a little bit taller, maybe a couple of millimeters taller, and then release and let the sponge refill. So do that again. You're squeezing the sponge, you're growing taller, pulling up, and you're releasing and coming down. You can add in the third thing. You can breathe in as you squeeze and pull up, and imagine the breath is going into the discs between the vertebrae in your neck and pumping up the discs so you get taller. And then as you release and exhale, you're slightly compressing down. So not a feeling of downward compression, but just coming back to normal. So you're breathing in and you're squeezing, and you're stretching up and you're growing taller, and the discs are filling with air, and you're breathing out, and you're releasing. Squeezing in and pull up. Squeezing, letting go and releasing, exhale. One more. Squeezing the sponge, growing taller, breathing in. Hydrate the discs, fill them with air, and releasing, and come back down and just shake out the arms. So just move your neck, and you can feel that side of the neck feels nicely massaged. So that was the left hand underneath. So now we're going to change it to the right hand underneath with the 4 fingers of the right hand, squeezing the left side of the neck. So we started with just a squeeze the water out of the sponge, and release, and let the sponge refill. So you're squeezing and let the sponge refill. So now get a sense of pulling up and growing taller and releasing. So squeeze and pull up and releasing, and squeezing and pulling up. So add the breath. So you breathe in and you inflate the disc between the vertebrae. So you're not actually doing that, but it's just a visual. But what you are doing is you're decompressing the discs, and the fluid in the discs is just lifting, it's opening, and then it's slightly compressing back down. So that's creating movement in the discs and just moving the fluid around and hydrating. So make sure you've got the right hand pressing into the left side of the neck. Breathe in, grow taller. Breathing out. Breathing in, grow taller. So you should feel now that you're really changing the blood flow, the lymphatic flow in the neck. You're hydrating the discs with movement between the cervical vertebrae. Breathing out and just relax and just roll the shoulders, move the neck. So the neck should feel lovely and warm after that. Just soften your knees a little bit. We can add in a little bit of lateral movement. So go back to left hand underneath. You're going to squeeze the sponge, you're going to grow tall, but now you're gently pulling off to the side. And then come back into center. We'll change side each time. Squeeze the sponge, grow taller, stretch to the other side. So your cervical vertebra and your thoracic vertebra are stretching over to the side. So you squeeze, you breathe in, and you add that little side bend, just pulling up on the base of the skull. Breathing out. So you breathe in, grow tall, and stretch to the side. Breathe in and come back down. So you're breathing in, you grow taller. And come back down. Breathe in and grow taller. We do one more each. Come back down. Breathe in, grow taller. Come back into center. Breathe in, grow taller. So we've hydrated and decompressed the spine from the mid-thoracic through to the cervicals. And you just should feel nice and open now. Just move your neck. Your neck should feel really good after that. Sponging the trapezius. So we looked at trapezius in class 2. So you get your hand, you're going to come to the big thick muscle that runs up into the side of the neck. You're going to imagine that big yellow sponge and you're going to squeeze and release. Squeeze the water out of the sponge and give it a couple of seconds to refill. Squeeze. So this is a great quick fix on a day when you're really feeling these muscles are uncomfortable. Squeeze. You can just do 6 each side and you're immediately going to feel the benefit. Squeeze the sponge, let it refill. So the sponge is a really good picture because you're squeezing the blood and the lymph out of the muscle so that it can refill and bring in more hydrated, more nourished fluids into the muscle. Squeeze. So if there's impeded blood flow through a very stiff and tight locked up muscle, then you're going to get slowing of the circulation, you're going to get congestion, you're going to get toxins in the muscle, in the lymphatic system. So this is just really improving your lymphatic drainage, your circulation. And you'll notice that the tone of the muscle is slightly reduced as well. So change to the other side. So squeeze the sponge and release. Squeeze the sponge. Release. And again, squeeze. Let the sponge refill. Squeeze it. Let the sponge refill. And again, squeeze. Releasing. Squeeze. Release. 2 more. Squeezing. Releasing. Last one, squeeze. And release. You just roll the shoulders and move the neck. How does that feel? So we've got 7 vertebrae in the neck. The top 2, the atlas and the axis, are the ones that come into the skull, and the head and the skull pivots on those top 2 and has its movement there. And in a healthy neck movement, we're moving from, if we just put our fingers behind our ears, point inwards, that's where the atlas and the axis come into the skull. So we should be pivoting from here. So nodding, also side to side. So think of a seesaw. So you could think of your mastoid process. If you put your fingers on your mastoid process, just do a little bit of a seesaw. Surprising how strong that stretches. You start to feel all the little muscles of the neck, the multifidi, rotators, cervical muscles in the back, whole load of muscles, just really getting a good stretch, but in a very safe way, because this is the best place for the neck to move. So often when we do neck movement, we're bending from lower down, like if we're reading a book or looking at a computer, and we're trying to bend from lower down, and the neck muscles complain straight away. They really don't like it. But if you go to the mastoid process, seesaw, nodding, you can feel that that's really quite a nice place to move. You do a little bit of circumduction, a little bit of circles from here. So circling from behind the ears, fine, but not down below where the neck really doesn't like it. We did the seesaw in the Feldenkrais method. In the Franklin method, there's an exercise called the waiter, which takes it a little bit further. So you're going to bring your elbows into the rib cage with your palms up. So you look like a waiter holding a tray. You're going to soften your knees. You're going to draw your thumbs back and lift up through the heart. Keep your chin slightly tucked. And then you're going to come back in and you're going to look down at your palms. So you're going to draw the thumbs back, lift through the heart, keep the chin slightly tucked. So what you're doing in this exercise is you're trying to keep your elbows as close to your rib cage as possible. If you take your elbows out, you'll go further, but it will jump into the shoulders. You want this to be in your rib cage, in your thoracic spine. See how far backwards you can stretch your thumbs, keeping the elbows close to the ribs. Try adding an in-breath as you look up, an out-breath as you look in. And find your range in this. Go as far to the back as you can, and then come in and round and feel the stretch in the thoracic muscles and the deep muscles of your rib cage. So you start really slow. You maybe do about 10 to 20 of these. And just locate where you're tight. So for me, I'm tight in the serratus muscles in the back of the rib cage, right at the low part of my rib cage in the back. I'm quite tight through those breathing muscles. You just keep going. So remember, we're all connected through the fascial system. So if these muscles are tight, they're going to be relating tension up through the shoulder girdle and into the neck. So it's more the upper back muscles, the trapezius, the shoulder blade muscles that are going to affect the neck rather than the actual neck muscles themselves. So another thing that Franklin method does, which is so simple and so effective, is just to do some tapping. So you could do that with fingertips across the chest, the trapezius, the shoulders, the neck, the skull. The chest muscles, you can make a fist, do a Tarzan. So if you want to go a bit stronger, you could use knuckles. You could also grab a ball and just use the ball. Gentle on the neck, gentle on the skull. Don't go bang, bang, but go 1, 2, 1, 2. I think the fingers are better for the skull. So you're really communicating through this very light touch to the nervous system. You could do the face. So remember, the face muscles are affected by tightness in the neck. Okay. You could do thumping at the front of the chest and at the back of the upper back, and you could do a bit of a weighter movement in there as well. So you're looking down, you're looking up, you're looking down, you're looking up. And when you get tired, you just change to the other side, looking down, looking up, looking down, looking up. So just even a minute of that, and you just feel very different through the shoulder girdle muscles. Do a few shrugs. The diaphragm, just with your fingers, just massage under the rib cage. Take a nice deep breath in, just feel the stretch of your diaphragm. You could do some tapping into the back of the ribs. You could bring in your weighter, your rounding, and your arching, rounding. You're arching, you're going around the back of the, so even this is working on serratus in the sides and the back of the rib cage, other side. Under the rib cage, and just roll the shoulders. So one final one for the chest muscles. So through the fascial system, through the neck, we're connecting into the chest through the scalenes and all the way. So you could think of it as feeding up into the neck or stretching down into the chest, whichever way. But just put the hands on the top of the chest here, and just as you breathe in, lift your heart and just gently pull down on the chest muscles. Keep the chin slightly tucked and breathe out and relax. So you're breathing in and you're pulling down, breathing out, relaxing, breathing in and pulling down. Breathing out to relax. One more. Breathing in to pull down. So you might notice you're very tight through the chest. You could take 2 fingers. You could come under the collarbone. little bit of a friction rub. Right into the groove of the shoulder, so I'm under the shoulder blade, the collarbone, and I'm coming right into the groove of my shoulder, and you can find some surprisingly tender places in here. You do a bit of a friction rub on your breastbone. There should be glide in the fascia, the superficial fascia of the breastbone. So under the collarbone, 2 fingers, and just work your way up into the groove of the shoulder. Breastbone. And relax. And again, just move your neck, roll your shoulders, and just see how that feels. So that's a little bit of an introduction to Franklin method for the neck and chest and shoulders, trapezius. And now we're going to move on to Pilates. So another way to help your neck is to strengthen your shoulder girdle. So in Pilates, our foundational movements are really, really good for balancing the scapula, the shoulder blades, and the shoulder blades are pivotal to shoulder girdle and neck stability. So if you think of a crane on a building site that moves around, the base of the crane is where its strength and its stability comes from. And so if you think about the arm and the head movement, the stability comes from the shoulder blade and the muscles of the shoulder blade. So just learning to mobilize your shoulder blades in all their directions is going to strengthen and balance the muscles that stabilize the deep neck and also the arms and the shoulders. So the first one we're going to try is just have the feet at hip space, take the hands to the front, just float the arms out to the side, turn the palms up level with the shoulders. You don't want to be up higher than the shoulders because otherwise your trapezius is going to be overactive. So the palm of your hands is just sort of level with your shoulders. Your arms look like long wings, so you're not in this position, you're in a nice long wing, and then with your brain, find your shoulder blades and see if you could pull your shoulder blades down towards the floor without changing the position of your arms. So I'll do it the wrong way, which would be to squeeze my shoulders down and bring my elbows in. So when I do it this way, I'm using my arm muscles and my shoulder muscles. But if you can locate the shoulder blades and glide the shoulder blades down towards the floor, 1, 2, 3, and release. If you're not sure, get someone to put their hands on your shoulder blades, that often helps. So imagine your shoulder blades are like 2 slippery bars of soap, and they're going to slide down the ribs. So this movement's called depression, to pull down. And each time you do it, relax your arms so you come out of it to go back into it. Palms up, shoulder blades glide down. You release the shoulder blades, you release the arms. Make sure you're breathing all the way through this. You're floating the arms, palms up, long wings. Glide the shoulder blades down towards the floor. 1, 2, 3. Glide the shoulder blades back up and bring the arms down. So you're only going to do it 4 times. There's no benefit from doing this lots and lots of times. You're going to overwork those muscles and fatigue them. You're just trying to wake them up, get the brain talking to these muscles, and just bring balance to the whole group, everything that is your shoulder girdle, everything from the ribs up, front and back. So 4 is always the best amount. You don't think 10 is better or 20. That's not going to be beneficial at all. So the next movement, we're going to come into a circle with the arms. So make sure you've got that nice circle and it doesn't alter its shape. And think of the 2 inner edges of your shoulder blades. They're going to draw together, and the movement's coming from the inner edge of your shoulder blades, not from your arms. The arms get pulled along for the ride. Feel the stretch in your chest muscles and the squeeze of your upper back muscles between your shoulder blades, rhomboids. And then allow the arms to close the movement. So the first half of the movement is the shoulder blades drawing together on those inner edges. Feel the stretch in the chest and the contraction of your rhomboids, your upper back. Second part of the movement is an arm movement, bringing the fingers back together. 2 more times. So we're only going to do 4. Inner edges of the shoulder blades draw together, contracting the muscles in between the shoulder blades. Make sure your neck doesn't get over tight. Don't squeeze so much that you notice your neck. All you want to feel is a nice stretch through the chest. Come back into your circle. So 1 more, draw the shoulder blades together. Feel the stretch in your chest. Make sure the neck is still free. Come back into close with the fingers and drop the arms. Roll the shoulders. So that one's called retraction. The next one's called protraction. You're going to take the circle within the arms. I'll stand sideways. Keep your spine nice and still and see if you could stretch the circle forward without changing the shape. So you don't want to go into a sausage. You keep the circle the same and you're just reaching forward. 1, 2, 3. Come back into relax. So when you do this one, you're feeling the stretch of the muscles between the shoulder blades and your chest muscles are contracting, the opposite of the one before. And come back into relax. So you're stretching, feel the stretch between the shoulder blades. Don't go too strong, less is more. You don't want to feel strain, you don't want to pull these muscles. You just want to gently stretch them. 1 more, reaching your circle forward. 1, 2, 3. Come back into relax and drop the arms down and just roll the shoulders, move the neck. So that was protraction. So the final one is elevation. You're going to make a circle with your hands. You're going to float the circle above the head. And this time you're going to imagine those 2 slippery bars of soap, your shoulder blades, gliding up the ribs, and you're floating the circle. And you don't really want the circle to change its shape. Keep the fingers connected. So you keep that closed circle and you're floating the circle and feel the stretch upwards. Come back into your middle position and come out of that. You don't want to hold your hands and your arms above your head for too long. So you're going to breathe in to float, normal breathing, and glide the shoulder blades up the ribs, float the circle, come back into your middle position, dropping the arms, and again, floating the arms. Gliding up through the shoulder blades. Keep the focus in the shoulder blades, not in the arms. Come back into the middle position, dropping the arms back down. So this one's called elevation. So you're floating the arms, you're gliding the shoulder blades up the ribs like 2 slippery bars of soap. They move up, they come back down into the middle position. You come back down with the hands, roll the shoulders. So just the 4, no more than 4, no less than 4. So just do a few shoulder rolls and move your neck, and you'll notice that you can feel the whole group of your shoulder girdle now. You've stretched the muscles that are tight, you've strengthened the muscles that are weak, you've woken them all up, and they should be all working together, doing their job, whatever their job is in the group. So you don't want lazy muscles that are not working, and you don't want tired muscles that are doing the work that the lazy muscles should be doing. You want everything doing its job and working in balance. So the next one that we're going to look at is coming to the floor. Okay, I might just tip my camera for this one so you get a little bit more view. So coming to the floor, if you need a pillow for your neck, that's fine. I don't need one, but I've got it there just to show you. And we're going to just come onto our back. So this is a lovely exercise to balance the shoulder girdle as well. You're going to just have your feet sort of not too close to the bottom, not too far out, and just fairly level pelvis. Nice and curve in the back, so you're not tucked, so you're level in the pelvis. You're going to bring your fingers together, and it depends on your shoulder tightness. You might have your hands on your forehead. So if your elbows and if your shoulder girdle is really tight, there's no way those elbows are going to reach the floor. You're going to put your hands on your forehead, and you're going to just find where you're challenging those muscles but not making it uncomfortable. Maybe you're moderately tight, and you could put your hands on the crown of your head and just see if you can get those elbows to relax towards the floor. And maybe you are quite flexible in the shoulder girdle. You can take the hands away from the head, keep that diamond formation,
and you can get your elbows onto the floor. So that's the ideal that you're working towards. You want the elbows on the mat, and you're really giving your shoulder girdle a lovely stretch. So what I want you to do now is I want to slightly drop your chin so you feel the length in the muscles at the back of your neck. And I want you to just glide your shoulder blades down toward your sit bones. So there's a little bit of depression there, you're pulling down. With your chin down, your shoulder blades down, you're going to just move your nose from right to left. You do that about 10 times. So you're really connecting with the deep stabilizers of your neck. And then just relax. You could bring your arms back over. We'll do that one more time. So I do this little often when I do a class in my Pilates classes. You'll see that I do this quite a lot because it's just a lovely way to balance your shoulder girdle and to make your neck feel better when you've been working your neck. Float the arms, you've got the fingertips touching, you're in a diamond shape. So maybe you're on the floor with the elbows down, maybe you're holding the crown of the head and the elbows are still slightly up, or if you don't like being, unsupported, you put the hands on your forehead and just go to wherever your shoulder girdle wants to go. So you're in your position, so maybe I'll pretend I'm tightening my shoulder girdle for this one just to show you. You're going to drop your chin, feel the length in the back of the neck. You're going to glide your shoulder blades down towards your sit bones, and then you're going to move your nose from right to left. So what really makes this work is the dropping of the chin in conjunction with the shoulder blades pulling down. So you're quite active in the deep neck. And then you add that side to side movement, and you're just really connecting with the deep stabilizers. And if you've been doing some sort of neck exercise like a crunch or a sit-up, then this is a great exercise just to bring the neck back into balanced and relaxed. Just relax for a minute and bring the hands all the way back and over. So another really good Pilates release for the neck is, say that your neck is really tight, it's quite unhappy. A great exercise to release the neck is often these very small and minute movements are the best way to release tightness, and circles in particular. So there's a similar exercise that you can do for the hip, but we're going to focus on the neck. So think of your nose as the point of a pencil, and with your nose, you're just drawing the smallest, minutest, most perfect circle on the ceiling. When you do this exercise, you're going to take about 60 seconds to gradually spiral the circle bigger. So it's getting a little bit bigger with each one now. You're taking about 60 seconds to spiral bigger and bigger, and bigger, until in the end you can't actually physically go any bigger. So by now you're really articulating the vertebra, the discs of the neck, stretching the muscles of the neck. There's something about circles that really helps muscles that are in spasm. So I'm not sure of the time, but we'll say that's 60 seconds and then stop and start to reverse the big circle. You're still as big as you can go. Gradually starting to spiral inwards. It's quite lovely, this exercise, even if you haven't got a stiff neck. So you're getting smaller and smaller and smaller. And you're taking about a minute, 60 seconds to come in, until your nose comes back to that very minute circle again. and you come to a halt. So at this point, you could just test the neck by turning your head to one side and just see, how does my nose line up with the center of my shoulder? Press your ear into the floor. To get a pillow there, it might be a little bit easier. Just pressing towards the floor, you can feel the contraction in the neck muscles, and then come back into center, and then take the nose over to the other side. How does it compare on this side? And come back to center. So just bring your feet and your knees together, roll over sideways and come back into sitting. There's other things you can do to strengthen your neck. You could, a really gentle way, I'll just come into cross leg, a really gentle way to strengthen your neck is just to press your head into your hands, isometric press, press into the side, you go slightly off at an angle, so you go anywhere in a circle, back of the head. So once you balance the neck and you've stretched the neck, then you start to work on strengthening the neck. So you're not ever going to use heavy weights. So just an isometric, equal and opposite tension coming from the head into the hand and the hand into the head is just a great way to really start to strengthen some of these muscles up. And if you wanted to, you could do this with a band. You could get the band around the back of the skull, hold the band and just gently pull back. So if I turn sideways, you know, you could do 10 little pulls to the back. You could move to the side. So if I take sideways, strengthen those neck muscles in the side. So obviously you don't want to go too crazy with using a band, but there is merit to using a little bit of resistance. You could do it at the front of the skull. You could pull down. So there's things that you could do to strengthen the neck using a band. So the final thing, which doesn't really fit into any of the categories, is just using massage, using your roller or your half roller. So I've got the big rollers at the back. If you've got a healthy neck, they're lovely, you can use them. But the most perfect thing, I'll just go and get one. The most perfect thing for the neck is a half roller. It's just the right diameter and it's lovely and soft and it's not going to cause any issues with your neck. So let's clear my space. So coming to lying down, put the roller into the back of the neck, the nape of the neck. So have the feet quite close to the body and just hip space. And you could just gently roll your head from right to left, and you're just massaging your capitis muscles and muscles in the back of the neck. And what you find with the capitis muscles is if you drop your chin, you're stretching those muscles and you will notice it much more. So go to one side, nodding up and down, side to side, circles. Go to the other side, up and down, side to side, circles. And the more you drop your chin, the more you're going to get into some of those lower trigger points and places of tension in the sides of the neck. You can just go from right to left. So that's your capitis muscles. If you come up a little bit higher onto the underside, just below the occiput, the round part of the skull, you might need to hold the roller, sub-occipital muscles. Lovely. It's really lovely massage. So I think everybody loves doing the neck work with the rollers. If you haven't got a roller, you could get a bath towel and you could roll it up and you could use the pressure of the towel. It's going to give you a pretty nice massage as well. So you're staying on one side. So I'm on the mastoid process behind the ear. nodding. So remember the mastoid process is where a lot of the neck muscles have some sort of connection at this point. So it's always a really good place to go to. Circles, up and down, side to side, circles, go over to the other side, behind the ear on the mastoid process, up and down, side to side, circles. Do your windscreen wiper all the way across the rim of the back of the skull. So there's no danger of pressing on the vertebra of your neck using the roller or the towel. So if you were to come up a little bit higher on the skull, now you're massaging the muscles of the skull and the fascia. So anywhere here, you're going to get a really nice result. You could just go a little bit higher, so you're above the mastoid process, you sort of level with the top of the ear and just getting into some of those temporal muscles on the side. So a good one to do here, you've got to be gentle with this one, but you're just going to gently drop your chin and glide the back of your skull up the roller. So you just feel that you're lengthening the muscles at the back of the neck. Don't be overzealous with this one because you can strain these muscles if you get a little bit too carried away, and you're just dropping the chin slightly, but you're not really putting too much force into this. This is nice and gentle, so just feel like there's a glide, chin down and the skull glides upwards. You don't need to do too many, we'll say 4. It's a nice deep breath, or maybe 5 because it feels so nice. So then we can also, with the half roller, we can bring our knees together, we can turn over as if you're sort of putting your head on a pillow, and you can just roll your head across the temples. There's a whole lot of tightness through the sides of the skull. Again, that feels really nice. You sort of level with just above the ear, right across that band of temporal muscles. While we're here, you can come in to the side of the neck and you can just get into that a little bit. Doesn't really work here because the shoulder is going to lift you too high, but just, just behind the ear, circles. So anywhere you feel tightness through the skull. So for you, you could just turn over. I'll change ends. So we're on the side. We're just sort of level with the back of the ear, and we're just going across the side. I'll just slightly change the order here. So you're just getting into the muscles that are level with the middle of the ear, a little bit higher than the mastoid process. There's a whole load of there's muscles all over the skull, so they're all very affected by our talking and our chewing and our tension, grinding the teeth at night, a whole load of things. So then take the roll a little bit higher into line with the temple. You're looking up at the ceiling and then you're looking forward. Just go across that band of muscles. And then we can just turn onto our back again and just go back to doing the neck. Just rolling the neck from right to left. So, right to left, and then stay on one side and you're nodding. You're doing circles. Going the other way. Over to the other side, nodding, side to side. Circles. So one final one is for the trapezius. So maybe we'll just stop for a minute. We're going to bring the roller in. You might need to be a little bit careful of your neck. But just remember that the trapezius is really going to affect your neck. So you're level with the back of your shoulders, and because your head is hanging back, just link your fingers and support your head. Bring your elbows forward, bring your feet in a little bit, and just lift your bottom. And you could just gently drop your bottom, lift your bottom. So you're really, you're not on the vertebra of the neck, you're just below that CT junction, that big vertebra in the, which is the first vertebra of your rib cage. And you just lift your bottom and you're putting pressure into your trapezius, into those trigger points that we looked at. And then you're coming down, you're lifting your bottom. So if you do this on a full roller, you're going to get a lot more movement. The head is going to drop quite a bit more. So I'll just show you, hang on. So for those of you that have got a roller, that have got a roller, you know, if you're comfortable with, you can do all of the neck releases with the full roller. You can bring the roller to the back of your shoulders, have your feet where you feel supported, link your fingers at the back of your skull. You're below that big vertebra in the first thoracic vertebra. You're never anywhere near the vertebra of your neck. You're at the back of your shoulders, and you're going to do a seesaw. You're going to drop your head to the floor, lift your bottom, drop your bottom, lift your head. So as you do this, you're getting into trigger point 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you're getting into quite a lot of those triggers. You're not getting into the one at the front, but you're certainly getting into all the others. So it's just a really lovely release. And then just bring the bottom down. Bring the hands forward, lift the feet, bring yourself up. So that's a combination of Feldenkrais, Franklin method, Pilates, and just general massage for the neck and for the shoulder girdle, just to bring your body into nicely balanced, nicely relaxed, and just a little bit of strength work. And some of those exercises with the Pilates just really helps to create a very strong and a very stable and a very flexible shoulder girdle. So I hope this series has helped you. Just keep going back to it and pick and mix, find the bits that really work for you, and then you've always got this one for reference. Well done.